In every Bond story, the villain isn't just an obstacle. They are the story. They're the reason Bond travels to exotic locations, uncovers global conspiracies, and nearly dies in elaborate traps. Without them, there is no Bond. And their plans, sometimes brilliant, sometimes absurd, have shaped one of cinema's most enduring legacies. This is the full story of James Bond's villains. Explained. Part 2. Chiffre isn't your average Bond villain. He doesn't build doomsday weapons or monologue in volcanoes. He sweats blood and plays poker like your rent depends on it. Which, in this case, it actually does. Introduced in Casino Royale, Chiffre is a mathematical genius and financial broker for terrorists. He takes their money, bets it on high-risk investments, and then tries to replace it before they notice. So, when he loses a lot of it short-selling an airline stock, he does what any responsible evil financier would do: organize a high-stakes poker game in Montenegro to win it back. Yes, that's the plot. Chiffre is cold, calculating, and clearly in over his head. And did we mention he cries blood from a damaged tear duct? Because nothing says, "Trust me with your money," like bleeding from your eye while bluffing with a pair of nines. He's not even trying to beat Bond physically. He tries to beat him financially. But when that doesn't work, he kidnaps Bond, strips him naked, and proceeds to torture him using a rope and a chair with no seat. Let's just say it's the most painful Q&A session in the franchise. Chiffre is desperate. He's not in control. And that's what makes him dangerous, because he's not trying to win. He's trying not to die. If you've ever thought the news was manipulative, meet Elliot Carver, a Bond villain who didn't just report the headlines. He wrote them in advance. In Tomorrow Never Dies, Carver is a ruthless media tycoon with shades of Rupert Murdoch dialed up to cartoon levels. His plan? Start World War III between Britain and China so his network can have exclusive broadcasting rights to the chaos. Because nothing drives ratings like global annihilation. Carver's toolkit wasn't nukes or lasers. It was propaganda. He had stealth ships to create naval incidents, satellite systems to spread disinformation, and armies of journalists ready to spin any disaster into profit. Basically, he was Fox News, CNN, and TikTok, if they all shared one evil haircut. What makes Carver terrifying is how plausible he feels. Unlike volcano layers or space lasers, a media mogul twisting world events for power feels a little too close to reality. The only thing less believable? That he thought typing really fast on a keyboard made him look more menacing. Carver wasn't after money alone. He wanted control of the world's narrative. And in a Bond universe full of nukes and nerve gas, that's arguably scarier. Bond's rogues gallery ends with Lyutsifer Safin, the masked recluse from No Time to Die. And unlike some villains before him, Safin wasn't out for gold, or ratings, or even personal glory. He wanted revenge, and a new world order built on death. As a child, his family was wiped out by Spectre, leaving him scarred inside and out. That trauma grew into obsession. Safin inherited his family's poison garden, upgraded it with nanobot technology, and unleashed a weapon that could kill specific genetic targets. In short, a virus that knows your DNA and doesn't care about vaccines. Safin didn't want to hold the world hostage. He wanted to remake it, controlling who lived and who died, like some twisted gardener pruning humanity. He was soft-spoken, calm, almost gentle, which made his cruelty even more chilling. And unlike earlier villains, Safin succeeded where many failed. He broke Bond. He infected him, doomed him, and forced 007 into the ultimate sacrifice. Safin wasn't the flashiest Bond villain, but he might have been the most devastating, because he took away something no other villain ever could: James Bond himself. In From Russia with Love, Bond faced Colonel Rosa Klebb, a Soviet defector turned Spectre enforcer. Forget flashy laser beams. Her deadliest weapon was a shoe. More specifically, a knife hidden in the toe laced with poison. Klebb wasn't larger than life like Goldfinger or Blofeld. She was small, severe, and terrifyingly efficient. She orchestrated the theft of a Soviet decoding machine, manipulated agents, and nearly brought Bond down with her venom-tipped footwear. She also gave us one of the earliest Bond tropes: the ruthless, physically unimposing villain who relies on cunning, not brute force. And while she may not have had a lair or a laser, Klebb proved something important. You don't need world domination schemes when you can stab someone with your heel. By the late 1970s, Bond villains had run out of ways to threaten Earth on land or in space. So they went underwater. Karl Stromberg, in The Spy Who Loved Me, was a reclusive shipping magnate with webbed fingers and a dream. Wipe out humanity and start over under the sea. Yes, Stromberg basically wanted to turn Earth into Atlantis, whether humanity liked it or not. His method? Hijack nuclear submarines, launch their missiles, trigger global war, then ride out the apocalypse in his undersea palace, Atlantis. It's absurd, but Stromberg's cold, detached manner made him eerie. Unlike other villains, he wasn't motivated by money or revenge, he simply didn't like people. And when your backup plan is live in a fish tank, you know you're dealing with a different kind of evil. In GoldenEye, Bond's enemy wasn't a megalomaniac stranger or a mad scientist, it was Alec Trevelyan, Agent 006. Once a fellow MI6 operative, Trevelyan was Bond's equal in every way. Trained the same, fought the same, killed the same. But during a mission, he faked his own death and resurfaced years later with a new agenda. Destroy Britain using a stolen Soviet space weapon called GoldenEye. His motive? Revenge. Trevelyan's parents were Cossacks betrayed by the British government after World War II. So his grudge was personal, and he turned it into a vendetta against the very system Bond still served. What made Trevelyan so dangerous wasn't just the weapon. It was that he knew Bond inside out. He could predict his moves, exploit his weaknesses, and taunt him with the fact that they weren't so different. In the end, GoldenEye wasn't just a showdown between hero and villain. It was Bond fighting a dark mirror of himself. Trevelyan proved that sometimes the scariest enemy isn't the man stroking a cat. It's the one who knows all your tricks because he once fought at your side. In Octopusy, Bond faced General Orlov, a Soviet officer so obsessed with world conquest that even the Kremlin thought he was too much. Orlov's plan was classic Cold War paranoia cranked up to 11. Sneak a nuclear bomb into West Germany, detonate it at a US Air Force base, make it look like an accident, then pressure NATO into disarming, while the Soviet army rolled through Europe. Basically, start World War III without anyone noticing until it was too late. Played by Steven Berkoff with Shakespearean madness, Orlov was loud, manic, and completely unhinged. Where Blofeld was cold and calculating, Orlov was sweaty, shouting chaos. And like many Bond villains before him, he ultimately died trying to outrun a train.